Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipson. Welcome to episode 156 of Sports Management Podcast. If you have ever learned anything from this show, please show your gratitude by subscribing to the podcast in your podcast app. And if you feel extra generous, leave a 5-star review. This will help the show grow, and the bigger the show, the bigger the guests. Thank you. Today's guest is Shawn Garrity, the CEO of Circle, a leading omnichannel guest experience agency. Shawn was also instrumental in launching SEICon, the Sports, Entertainment and Innovation Conference in Vegas, with guests like Nancy Lieberman, David B. Falk, and David Levy, happening now in July. Moreover, Shawn has over 30 years of experience from the sports industry, and in this episode, we spoke about growing up a military brat, why he chose to go to college, being an offensive lineman for Syracuse football, working with the NHL draft at the Las Vegas Sphere, SEICon, the upcoming Sports, Entertainment and Innovation Conference, and much more. Shawn Garrity, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be with you. Thank you, Mark.
Really appreciate having you on. So for those who might not know who you are the CEO of Circle, a leading omnichannel guest experience agency. So can you tell us a little bit about what is Circle?
Yeah, so started Circle just over 10 years ago. I've been in the industry for about 35 years. Educated at Syracuse University on the advisory board of the Falk College there, and certainly very proud of that. But I started a series of agencies over my career, and Omnichannel really is a big world in today's makeup, as you know. Looking at how brands, how entertainment companies, how various groups operate, you're really looking at an internal and external initiative to how you do things, from your broadcast, your hospitality, your live engagement, your tours. And I think it's even looking at your internal culture of how you manifest your own teams, and then how you interact and engage with your audiences and with your customers. So that's been a lot of our focus. We just had some involvement with the NHL draft at the Sphere. Have done quite a bit of the entertainment and engagement and hospitality work with the Sphere itself. On tour with a lot of spirit brands at Coachella, Governor's Ball, South by Southwest. So really enjoy being in great face-to-face marketplaces, but driving social, digital, hospitality, and developing some dynamic and highly evolved guest experiences.
That's really cool. And you mentioned the draft. I'm a hockey guy, so follow that a lot. So being at the Sphere as well in Las Vegas, really cool. So you mentioned you did some work there. So what were some things that you have done surrounding the draft?
Well, first of all, the Sphere itself is just ridiculous, right? I mean, it's world class, very dynamic, and they're amazing people to work with. But through the great relationship with the Sphere, they were kind enough to introduce us to the NHL. So we basically have some creative branding and shell schemes and functional to branding space that they use. They can come in for the event, manifest their brand effectively, and then get out of there in an efficient way without obstructing anything that's happening within the ongoing operations for the Sphere. So great opportunity to be there with some of their functioning space, some of their brand space, and anytime you can be a part of something historic like that, it's truly an honor.
Of course. So you mentioned you have started some companies. You also co-founded the MSL Sports and Entertainment. So
yes.
How did you get into this field and becoming an entrepreneur and being on the guest experience side?
Yeah, it's a great question. Based out of New York City, and I started in trade shows back in the late 1980s, and the mix and the way things happened at that time, you would go to a customer and say, okay, what do you need? Let us give you some solutions to give you what you're asking us for. Very reactive. And as we started working more with architects, ad agencies, getting more towards strategy, not just tactics, it allowed us to be more proactively creative and become a bit more of a mentor for our clients, not just an order taker. And as you know, when you're not a commodity, your ability to stay with clients longer and do better work becomes more available. So as I went to New York from the trade show industry, MSL and several of the other companies that I've been involved in, gave us a chance to understand more strategy, broadcast, live entertainment, hospitality, tours, logistics, get the whole mix of what brands and organizations are looking to do in today's dynamic marketplace.
Yeah, exactly. So and now the Circle is more focused on sports, or so are you also working outside of the sports industry?
Yeah, doing quite a bit. We actually started in music primarily. We worked with MGM on their festival village, their festival grounds. So events like Rock in Rio, iHeartRadio Festival, Route 91's, a wide variety of large scale outdoor entertainment events. With that, we were also doing B2B programs with great clients like Adobe, Hexagon, ARM, doing conferences, trade shows. But we've also done our fair share of design and building the hospitality space as well. World famous Losers out of Nashville. We did a great recreation for them in Vegas at MGM Grand, also in Belize, right on the water, on a dock. So we really love great projects. I think that's what's in our DNA. And it's nice to be able to not be too specialized. That if it's design, build, hospitality, and the whole omni-channel integration, you can more select great projects. Not say that's our business. Whether it's a good project or not, we kind of have to do it if that's where we're limited to be.
Yeah, I understand that. But you're a sports guy, so I know you have, played college sports. So I guess it's also, nice to be working in the sports as well. Although, as you said, if there is a nice project outside of sports, of course, you can take that too.
No, for sure. And again, you look at the NHL, you look at a lot of groups that are activating and do a lot of fun programs. Sports definitely is a big part of what we love to do. And over the years, we started All-American games, done a lot of measurement tours, activations around Super Bowl, NBA All-Star. So we are definitely proud of our presence and the privilege to be able to be in the sports space as well. And certainly for SEICon, that there's going to be a lot wrapped around that conference. It's very much about the world of sports.
Yeah, definitely. And a great segue, because I want to talk about that, of course, as well. So SEICon is announced. It's going to be very soon with an all-star cast of speakers. So can you talk a little bit about, first of all, your involvement in the conference, and also a little bit about the conference and the speakers?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so first of all, very important that I mention our partnership with UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas Sports Innovation, and with the Syracuse Falk College of Sport. It's bringing together two of the best universities in the world, coming in broadcast journalism, broadcast media, sports entertainment. UNLV is the number one gaming and hospitality university in the world, perhaps, arguably, and nowhere like Las Vegas to bring all that together. And I think that's really a lot of where this came about. Las Vegas just went through the greatest expansion of sports, entertainment, and hospitality ever. When you think about Resorts World, you think about Fontainebleau, the Raiders, the Oakland A's, just a wide variety of things that have happened over this last decade, including going through COVID, which is really extraordinary. The Sphere, obviously, F1. So as you look at a university like UNLV, there are a lot of demands in the city now for sports marketing, social media, facilities, and all the things that go into the front of house, back house experience for a venue and for a professional sports organization. So the Sports Innovation Institute with Jay Vickers, Bull Bernhard, Dr. Nancy Lowe, and the President Whitfield, they're very committed, and the community is very committed to growing that infrastructure to keep up with the demand for everything that wants to continue our trajectory forward. And for Syracuse, being a private institution, upstate New York, pretty much towards Canada, more towards Canada perhaps than New York City, it was a great opportunity for we as Syracuse University to blend with this dynamic city of great public university, fastest growing, one of the most diverse in the country, to bring together two great universities, do some great things together, collaborate, share, and truly make a difference for our students, our faculty, and for the sports industry as a whole.
Vegas, as you mentioned, has become, a really sports town. I don't know if it started with the Golden Knights with the hockey, but after that, as you said, for F1 and then the Raiders, it's just been going on. So was the location strategic in that sense?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think really I'd like to recognize Jeff Motley and the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where NASCAR really was our start years ago. That was the first big move where we got the Speedway, a lot of the big NASCAR race events. That's really drag racing. That's where it started. And then obviously the Golden Knights, and it's just gone on and on from there. But looking at the timing for this mid-July timeframe it's very warm here in Las Vegas for those that have not been. And usually it's a lighter time for hotels, for hospitality. And we wanted to pick a time where we could bring great crowds, bring income for our city and our community at a time when they would like to have that. But I also want to recognize NBA Summer League. They've done a great job of building out a very dynamic event that happens around this time. NBA Con, Sneaker Con, Summer League, So we are starting to see this mid-July gathering point to be a time when the industry does come here and wants to come here. So we're really building more and more attractions and amenities and purposes for them to be here and get more out of that.
I also noticed that the USA Today is the presenting sponsor of the conference. Is that right?
Yes, very proud of that. Been working on that for a little bit. It's certainly amazing to have them on board with us.
So how did that come about?
Well, we've had good relationships there over the years. And as you look at the content mix of journalism, content, and everything that comes together, USA Today Sports Network has been looking at what a journalist looks like. How are they disseminating content and with their brands? How do they activate their brands through traditional advertising, non-traditional advertising? And SEICon, fortunately, was a good vehicle for them to be around a lot of thought leaders, a lot of other very strong people in broadcast journalism. And as we look at brands being connected to these B2B events and our vertical events, it just seemed like a great fit. It's in the early stages now to figure out exactly where we go with it. But as you also think about UNLV with Green Spud Media, their journalism school, our new house, broadcast journalism school, which is amazing. A lot we can do together. We're very excited to have them with us.
I'm sure, and it sounds like a win-win partnership there for them to, get access to the great speakers, and for you to have a great journalists behind.
Very much so.
That's exciting. Looking forward to see how that plays out.
Thank you.
So, how can you attend it or read up on it more? If someone wants to learn more about it, how can they do that?
Thank you. Well, our website is SEICon, Sports Entertainment Innovation Conference. Our website is www.sei-con.org. You can find your room bookings there. Again, as a first-year event, what's interesting about it, Marcus, is we have over 150 speakers, and these speakers are some of the best in the world at what they do in sports, entertainment, innovation, hospitality, media broadcast. We have people coming from Australia, from India, from the United Kingdom, obviously Canada, and other great nations, in addition to people from across the country. We're very excited about this. And again, the whole purpose for us is education plus collaboration equals deal making. We want people to come here. I need a job. I want to hire. I want to raise money. I want to sell a company. I want to collaborate and do more business. We want people to know if you're coming here, we want you to do business. It's not really a motivational conference or I left there and I feel invigorated. We want that to be, but we want them to leave saying it was good for my business and it's worthwhile. I know in today's world, you have to have ROI for it to be durable.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Nancy Lieberman and Jamie Jordan from Jordan Sports and
Yes.
David B. Falk, like the list goes on and on and on. So you have really managed to get top of the line guest speakers as well.
Thank you. And I think to that point, obviously it's the Falk College of Sport at Syracuse. David Falk has been extraordinarily generous to our alma mater, Syracuse University. He's very involved. But, you also think about David Levy, John Wildhack, Susanna Baer with the CEO of The Dream, could just keep going on. And the good news is they're coming to learn themselves. They're coming to be with their community. A lot of conferences, what we've heard, Marcus, is you go, you listen to speakers and people kind of run and they leave. And our point is that's the beginning. Stay, socialize. We have a lot of social events. We have a lot of hospitality. We have an app when you register that allows you to see who's coming and book appointments directly with them. This is a very open platform gathering that wants to have meetings and collaboration, not just you listen to people and you hope it might have been worth your while at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the speakers are coming to listen and learn as well, and that's something
Yes.
I've noticed doing this podcast, that executives and very successful people in the industry they are not done. They always want to continuous learning and asking and all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's really it. We all have to go. We have to go back to class. When you think about AI now, and you think about health sciences, and you think about social advancement, and just all the different aspects. Or now you're in sports, but you need to know music. You need to know you're curating hospitality experiences, your venue, and what that looks like in today's world. A lot of us, with what we thought we knew a decade ago, it's all changed. And if you think about the past and really where we are now, the most important thing is where are we in the next 5 years? You can't even say 10 years right now. what does it look like in the next 5 years? And I think that's the most important aspect we're going to focus on. Where were we? Here we are now, but now what? Where do we go from here? And our view is the best is yet to come. More expansion, more opportunities, very dynamic, more personalized. And that's the thing we're most excited about for the future. It's about the innovation. That's really the star of our gathering.
That's a great point. And you work in industries that are ever changing. You mentioned music and sports and so forth. So how are you staying up to date or trying to predict the future to stay ahead, or at least, keeping up?
Well, it's a funny thing. And I'll say this is where I'm a little bit selfish, and our team with Falk and UNLV are selfish. We started from zero as a new conference about 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago. And our database right now is almost 1,600 people we've talked to. And of those 1,600 people, it's amazing the intelligence and the variety of thought, but also some of the commonalities that come out of it. All these verticals have a lot of commonalities and then their nuances. But we have had the chance to learn so much. And every topic we've shaped and changed and revised, and every speaker configuration has been based on listening. Every phone call, something evolves. And again, we've been very supportive that the people speaking and many that are coming and those that will be with us for the future have helped us to shape what this is. And we're just getting started.
Exciting times.
Yes.
You mentioned David B. Falk and that he's very generous to the alma maters, and you are still in contact with that university, right?
Yeah, very much. I've been on the advisory board for almost 15 years now for the Falk College. So it's been amazing watching our growth trajectory. And now you look at it over 15 years, we have almost 3 rounds of students that have graduated, gone out into the world. Now they're hiring their next generation of students. So you have the accomplished individuals that came on the board to accelerate what we want to do. But now you've had that first round of graduates, and we're literally in the next generation when they're now hiring the next generation. So again, we're very proud of what our faculty has done, what our alumni have done, and what our current students are doing. And the funny thing is we all look at one another and we look at how exceptional these young adults are. We say we would not have been accepted. And I just don't think we could have done what these young adults are doing now. They're truly exceptional, and we're very proud of them.
I'm sure. So was it always something you wanted to do, to come back to your college, to be on the board, to try to give back to your university?
Well, I played football there, and I was recruited by a former player that was a professor there in literature. And I remember when I was getting recruited, I just looked at that gentleman, played in the league, NFL for a little bit, had a great Syracuse career. Now he was a professor. And I was really awed by that accomplishment. I'm not sure I really saw myself that was something that I would be able to do, coming into college and now having the opportunity to be on the board and, yes, to support the program and everything that means. It has been a great honor. But if you had asked me going into Syracuse out of high school, would I have thought I'd have the opportunity to do that? I probably would have said no. So I'm very, very fortunate.
So going to check in on your history a little bit and how you got into it. So the educational part, your parents didn't go to college, if I did my research correctly. So was that always something that you wanted to do?
No, ironically, my father was a 20-year military person, and my mother did go to University of Auburn University for 1 year, but then she got married and had children. And back in that day, women really didn't go to college. You went to college to meet a husband, as my mother would joke, and she did. So she never went back to college, but she had an amazing career. She's one of the most hardworking, talented people I ever knew. But my father was military, and that was probably my plan. But somewhere my freshman year in high school, it came to be that I might have a chance as an athlete to be able to play and go to college. And I probably went to college more for athletics, with college being something important to do, but not going to college, university as a scholar. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that was the most important benefit I did receive from that.
What did you study during your time?
Well, it took me a little bit to figure out where I was going. And I ended up going into communications, and I called it the ultimate BS degree. But really I undervalued it at the time, but what it did prepare us to do and prepare me to do was to organize thoughts, convey ideas, to listen. It allowed me to be able to have interpersonal relations, create ideas, presentation skills. And I find out in the world now, as smart and as advanced as people can be in their information, the ability to shape their ideas, convey their ideas, and to interact at a high level is probably one of the bigger assets anyone can have, and it might be one of the bigger challenges that a lot of people have coming out of college. It's just been my observation over the years.
No, I agree with that. And it's fine. I also felt like communication was a little bit of a BS degree when I did in university. But as you said, like, it doesn't matter how much like knowledge, wisdom you sit on if you cannot communicate it to someone or, synthesize your thoughts. And now it's, different types of communication. It's emails, writing, speaking, so forth. So
yes,
definitely important.
Well, I guess that we're two BS artists together.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been around quite a bit. Like you mentioned, now you're in Vegas. You grew up in Massachusetts, I think, and then also, been New York. You mentioned before, so seen US quite a bit. So how has that been like moving around?
It's amazing. Yeah, I started as a military brat. My dad in the Air Force. So born in Orlando, a little bit of time in Massachusetts, then 4 years in Puerto Rico, about a year in Meridian, Mississippi, then back to Massachusetts, Syracuse, out to Las Vegas, California, St. Louis, Connecticut, and now back out here again. And, the biggest thing, I guess when you're young and you move a lot, you kind of get used to it. I know there are some people that don't move within a mile of where they were born. And sometimes you can admire that. But, I like the adventure. My daughter's in London and she's living her best life. My son's in Minneapolis. And I don't know. I think there's something to be said for being able to see different cultures, have different opportunities. And, with my business, it does give me a chance domestically and overseas to experience other cultures and, see how the world works a little bit. I'd certainly recommend it for anybody.
Yeah, me too. I lived abroad for a couple of years as well. And I think that's one of the best experiences one can have.
Yes, for sure.
We have talked about you've been in the industry for, you said, 35 years,
Yes.
A lot of experience. There are many people listening that might be younger and maybe just started their career or want to get into the sports industry. So what would be some advice that you have for a young person who wants to work in the sports industry?
Yeah, it's funny. I had my son with me. I went to Syracuse to speak with a classroom just before COVID, maybe about 6 months before COVID. And I spoke with a group of students. And I had my son with me, as I mentioned, and I was telling them, look, I'm going to talk to you about the world. Basically, I gave them the Omnichannel story and how it works, all the opportunities and all the things you need to know or you want to know. As I went through the whole program and I asked 40 students, are there any questions? And there was not a single question. And this was just before COVID, going through the 2008 recessions and the dot-com crashes in 2001 and 1988, there was a recession. You go through these times and you learn you have to be resilient. You have to have options. You're not invulnerable. And so the professor was kind of to lay up a few questions to at least get a few out there. But I said, look, I'm just going to say this to you one last time. Be flexible, be available, have courage, and know your life's going to change in all these different ways. And sometimes it's going to be scary. So you need to be prepared for that. And when I left, I said to the professor, they have no idea. Change is somewhere ahead of them. And I hope they remember some of this, remember these words. And COVID literally hit right after that. So, so again, I would say to anybody, meet people, be available, say yes, always say yes. Nothing happens if you're not there. No meeting is a waste of time because you're making relationship connections and you're learning. I always say yes, be out there, have courage, and know you're going to have to adjust along the way. And that's what life is. That's the spice of life.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned COVID and in your, in the guest experience field, I mean, that must have been a big change for your company.
Yeah, it was terrible. We, for the world in every respect, but, when we saw COVID starting to really come to life in December, January, we had Consumer Electronics Show and we worked with several companies from China. And when those companies had come to see their work before the show, our whole company got very ill, including me. And I had people who never missed a day of work that were out for weeks. And we just couldn't understand what was happening. But I very much believe in the third week of December, our whole company had COVID. As we started to watch it and we kept convincing ourselves it's going to pass. By the time it went from China to Europe to coming to the US, there came a point where we literally had to tell our whole company we we're going to have to shut down, by mandate. We're going to have to see where we go from here. But to tell so many great people from one moment to the next, we're going to have to wish you the best. We'll find your way, but don't go to any company that looks like us. We're not going to be doing anything for some time to come. Fortunately, we were able to come back. We hired quite a few of our people back, or they had the chance. And we reimagined ourselves again, very much more omnichannel than production. And, the world came out different. We came out different with it. And I think, again, for SEICon, being able to do this sports entertainment innovation conference with everyone we have is truly a pleasure. And I think it's a testimonial to our team to be able to do something like this while we're doing quite a few other projects. So I pray for everybody coming out of COVID. There was so much sadness. And I just hope it's generations more again before we ever see anything like it.
Yeah, definitely. You talked before about also flexibility and, having the flexibility there to change the company. And as you said, you came out of it looking like a different company, more omni-channel focused. So you had your own advice there about being flexible.
Yeah, no, you have to. And, it's funny telling the partners are sad, I guess. But so look, take 2 weeks, love your family, be safe, rest. Let me think about it. And I think that is the mark for our partners. We worked through COVID and we worked reinventing everything about ourselves. And we had a lot of phone calls with a lot of agencies, a lot of architectural firms, a lot of smart people presenting Omnichannel, what we thought that was, and challenging them, but also getting their feedback to, fine tune that. So again, I always believe, talk to everybody, share your information, keep your mind open to the things they're sharing, and somewhere there is the best road forward.
So I usually ask about if there's been any bump on the road in their career. Obviously, COVID was a big one, but has there been any other troubles or bumps in your career? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, there have been. First of all, with COVID, COVID was kind of over and we hired everybody back, and then the Delta and the Omicron variants came. So we had all these people and now we went down again. So we had to make the decision, do you keep your people now and pay them to be shut down, or do you press on? We made the decision that if we had let our people go again, there would not be the trust to get them back. So we decided to press on with that. With a market crash, I had a public company, and with the stock market crash and the real estate crash, you could raise money anywhere. And now you've got a public company that can't raise capital, and you've got to reimagine what you do there. We had a very large event that we had to postpone, and we paid millions of dollars backwards to people because it got postponed, that we had to pay, because you're the promoter and you have two choices. You can bankrupt the company, or you can pay backwards and then try to have the opportunity to pay forward. So, I always say, who someone is in the bad times. It's easy for someone to be magnanimous when it's good, but when it's the bad times, I think that's when you kind of see who somebody is.
Definitely. So you have been president, co-founder, CEO. You've been in leadership positions for many years. So how would you describe your leadership style?
It's evolved over time. I think in the beginning, my view was if you just give people the right resources and the right environment, they will excel. I think I still believe that in its general sense, but I also think people want leadership, and you can't just leave. Different people have different ways of responding to autonomy and to their goals, but then also you have to bring in your standards and how it's ultimately evolved. We're in a business where people work day, night, weekends. You can't ask where someone is every day at time, because there are times where they're working and you don't know what they're doing. So you have to have trust. So you hire the right people, give the right culture of trust. But we do have a saying, it's from a book that I very much am a fan of, but it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And we do have that standard now that we want to be the best in the world. And that's something that is defined by us. And generally our customers will determine where we are by our performance. But I do say to our teams all the time, and I measure myself, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And you are the 5 people that are around you the most. So if I'm looking at the people around me and there's struggle or problems, I'm struggling and having problems. But if we hold ourselves accountable that everything should be excellent, everything you do, or you're striving for that, good things will happen. But if you start dropping your standards, that's where problems come about. And I think people expect and require leadership to maintain that standard. It starts with you, and then you earn your culture to follow suit.
I like that. And also, there was a study that if someone sits next to a high performer, for example, in an office, they perform better as well because you get influenced by other people working hard. And
yeah, very true. I don't know if you've seen some of Nick Saban's sayings, but he's obviously recruited elite talent and he's held them to very high standards. But he said to them, "What I'm here to do, you're all elite. Now I need to find out if you have the attributes to mobilize that. And what I'm looking for is those of you that don't want to do it and you want to tear down those that do. My job is to clear out the ones that won't do it, so the ones that can do it are obstructed." And he's always looking for the people that don't get it and never will, and get them out of there. And people may not like it, but his results speak for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we mentioned that the event is coming up now very soon. So anything else you want to mention about that before we sign off here?
No, first of all, I want to thank you for this time and all the homework you've done. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I just think for what this is, it's an important conference. We have our Las Vegas conference coming up. Obviously, we have our more intimate 100, 200 person events. That'll be New York, which is agency brand media, Washington, D.C., which is public-private sector collaboration. We have the UK, which is more focused on innovation. We're working right now in Saudi UAE with an advancement conference. And we've also got some early movement on a sustainability conference for Houston. But these are more your thought leaders, more intimate events that feed up to our bigger Las Vegas event. But no, we welcome everybody to come. It's SEI-CON.org. We're proud of everyone that's going to be there, and I know they'd love to have you with us. So I do thank you for the time and all the great questions. It's very kind of you.
Thank you, Shawn. The pleasure is all mine. And I hope that people check out the conference. And it looks really interesting. As I said, top class speakers.
Thank you.
I like to end these podcast episodes with a networking question, and excited because I know that you have a large network. So who from your network do you think would be a good guest on this podcast?
Who do I think from my network? Wow, there are so many. I will tell you honestly that I'll give you one of my most special and inspiring people that I know is Nancy Lieberman. And what's great about Nancy, obviously, in the Basketball Naismith Hall of Fame as a player, individual player for the Olympic team, the 76 Olympic team. She just got in and tried again, but working with the Big Three with Ice Cube, having had a try with the Lakers back in the day with Magic Johnson, currently working with the Oklahoma City doing their game broadcast. Just everything she does, she is incredible. And I think she has a perspective from being a player, a coach, being in the business. She's got an amazing nonprofit, working with communities using basketball as a vehicle. So I'd say Nancy Lieberman.
Nancy would be a great guest.
Yeah, she's incredible in every respect, exceptional.
Shawn, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Sports Management Podcast.
It's my honor. Thank you very much, Marcus. I'm very grateful.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought about this episode. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @SportsMPodcast.